welcome to Trials2Triumphs, the second episode. I'm your hostess of the mostest, Shan. With me today, I have one of my favourite people in the world.
Oh,
yeah. Jason Goodson, CEO, founder of Backyard Roadies. Welcome.
I love that. What an intro. Founder, CEO, motherfucking
Favorite
boss.
person. We on.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So yeah, I guess we're going to be talking about your journey, and everyone's going to be quite privileged to hear about what you've been up to since I sort of left you at high school.
Yes.
And it's an interesting one. So make sure you're strapped in, grab a drink or something. We've got a couple of drinks.
We on.
Cheers. So let's throw it back to, I guess, where I sort of left you a few years back. Growing up in West Auckland.
All day.
As a teenager.
West
What was
Auckland,
it like?
Gleneden to Tarangi, born and raised. It was interesting. It was definitely challenging.
Yeah.
I grew up with a Filipino mum who was very religious, and then grew up with a Kiwi dad, a tradie dad. So things were a bit different growing up, going from, going to church, then starting to go to parties at 12 years old. I remember my first party. And just drinking alcohol and trying new things. But, no regrets. I'm happy where I came from. Far westy. I'm actually living in West Auckland again, out here in Boracay, west.
We are.
Going all the way. But yeah, it was challenging, and you fall into wrong paths quite quickly, and you watch a lot of people go downhill that were close to you.
Yeah.
You just got to make those decisions, whether you go with it and fall under peer pressure, or if you stand up as your own person, which you can lose friends. But West Auckland was fun, drift cars, four-wheel driving on the beach, house parties, all types of fun stuff. So
all of that jazz.
Loved it.
Nice.
Loved it.
And so when you're about 18, I think probably one of the last times I would have seen you would have been about 17, 18 maybe.
Yeah.
What sort of path were you on at the time? Where were you heading?
Yeah, so that was crucial in my life, because that was a confusing time. Obviously going to Green Bay from year 9 to about year 11. Had some drama there, so I ended up moving to Avondale, which really took a turn on my life. I keep playing rugby, and then after I was in a relationship for about 2-3 years. That was sort of on the rocks towards the end. I was kickboxing as well, so that was something I was passionate about.
Yeah.
And 18 to 19 was the transition from, I really enjoy this hobby of mine, but the growing up and the party scene was starting to affect it. So I was trying to train for fights and not drink, while all my friends were like, come on, come out, or sober drive us. So then I was lacking sleep. And I decided at that point, I was like, I want to leave West Auckland for this moment. And I wanted to pursue training in Thailand and Muay Thai.
Oh, okay. So that's what took you over.
Yeah, that was the first thing that took me over. I was in a rocky relationship. So once that fully broke off, I quit my job, had a little bit of savings, and I went to Phuket for a fight camp.
Oh, nice.
So I was exciting with my friends Ryan, Shaquille, Javon, the bros. We went over there for Westies. Nice. And that's where everything changed once I went overseas. Yeah.
Perfect. And so you ended up in the Philippines after Thailand.
Yeah.
What took you there? Was that like a sort of end of your holiday, or what was that about?
Yeah, that one was random. I didn't plan that. I planned 3 months in Thailand and was planning to come back to a job and hopefully repatch a relationship. And the guys I was with, they only had like a month or two to train. So I ended up doing it. I did about 2 months and started running out of money. We were there for the full moon party, so
of course
we lost a bit of money on that. Definitely some brain cells and definitely some gains. Trained for a whole month and then did a full moon party. But there was a moment there where I started to really enjoy traveling. I really enjoyed being on my own. When my friends did leave, it was just me, and that's when I started to enjoy my my growth, coming out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But growing up as a Filipino half, my mum used to bring me to the Philippines, and when you go somewhere with your parents, you get quite sheltered. They don't want to show you the real side. They don't want you to go do this, do that. So I didn't really enjoy the Philippines as much. And growing up as in New Zealand, quite privileged, and you start to understand that. So I didn't really want to go to Philippines anymore.
Yeah.
But when I was about to leave Thailand, my mum asked me, can you please go to your cousin's wedding since you're just, you're close? Can you please go? Because I can't. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to, Mum. Like, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, just go, please. And I was like, yeah, all good. So first time I ever went to the Philippines by myself was then. So I flew there from Thailand to Manila, and my cousins picked me up. And yeah, I was buzzing out a bit. And it was all new because I was used to having my mum with me, but then I started seeing things as an adult because at that time I think I was about 19.
Yeah.
And
it's a different vibe traveling by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, especially in a foreign country. I felt that when I went to Vietnam. I was like, holy shit, like, this is way different to, like, holidaying with my friends. It was like a big, like, culture shock moment for me, for sure.
Yeah.
So whilst in the Philippines, you got into running some tours and things there.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so that's a really cool part, and I haven't shared it much, but there was, I was in the Philippines, and I went to an island called Boracay, and for me, I didn't know much about what to do in the Philippines, so I kind of Googled it. Like, that's how much I didn't know about my own country. I Googled it, like, okay, what do I do in the Philippines? And it said Boracay Island, which was, voted #1 island in the world at that time in Southeast Asia. Beautiful white sand, just a party island.
Yeah.
And at that age, I was like, yeah, that sounds good.
Totally what you're about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was like, I'm going there. And I got offered a job as a pub crawl host. And for me, that wasn't in my future. I didn't plan it at all. I was like, oh, I'm actually just in the Philippines for a holiday and then I'm going home.
Yeah.
I got offered a job as a pub crawl. And so how it happened was I got to the island. I started drinking at this hostel, blacked out. And yeah, I sort of just woke up and like was getting offered a job as a pub crawl host. I don't really remember much as well. Applied for it, got it apparently, and then they offered me a 6-month contract with accommodation and food supplied. And I was like, oh, I can't really do this. I think I was just drunk talking. I was like, it's not really what I want to do. And they were like, well, it seemed like it was last night. And I was like, yeah, it probably was at the time. So yeah, I ended up, before taking the job, I actually spoke to someone, Junior Chia, shout out to the bro. He was over in Thailand at the time, running full moon parties and the Kotal pub crawl.
Yeah, so I joined him on one of them before.
That's good. I saw him at the full moon party.
Thanks, Junes.
Shout out to the bro. And yeah, I asked him about, I was like, hey man, I'm going to take this leap of faith. I'm really scared. I'm going to go run pub crawls in the Philippines. Do you have any advice? And, I never forget what he said, because there was a moment where he just said to me, mate, take the leap of faith, young grasshopper. If all goes shit, you can always get a flight home.
Exactly,
and you've
right.
lost nothing.
Nothing's ever permanent, for sure.
That was crazy. That was a really big moment because I really took it in and I was like, yeah, you're so right. Like, if shit goes wrong, I'll just go home and go to uni or do some shit.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's how I took the leap of faith, and I basically moved in and I was doing about, four pub crawls and 2 boat parties a week.
Shit.
So, yeah.
How do you, I've always wondered, because obviously I struggle, and even back, as a young 20-year-old, whatever, trying to have the energy to keep up, for 2 days in a row is hard enough.
Yeah.
But doing that as a job, what is that like? How do you find the strength to keep? Because obviously hosting it, you've got to be the life of the party, and making sure everyone's having a good time. How do you even deal with that? Yeah,
it was challenging when I first started, because I came from Thailand where I wasn't drinking as much, and then going straight into binge drinking. You put a Kiwi from West Auckland into an environment like that, he's gonna lose it. You're gonna lose it, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna absolutely love it. But yeah, it was challenging because I wasn't used to consistently drinking like that. It was more like back home, you do the Friday and the Saturday, and it's a big one. Might do the occasional Wednesday student night, but over there it was, the island never slept. So I was running, pub crawls on a Monday and a Wednesday, and to be fair, to motivate myself, everyone has their own ways, right? But for me, it was making sure that I would get enough sleep during the day. At the time, it was tough because I was living in a treehouse at the time with a fan and not really any aircon and open air, so it was quite tough to sleep. But you just had to force yourself to get that rest, so that when you wake up at 6 o'clock at night, I used to just hype myself up in the mirror. I had a mirror like this big on my wall, and played a bit of music and just hype myself up, and then I'd kind of walk in. So I learnt about game face, and that saved me throughout my career of sales as well. But game face. You know, you go in there, you've got an objection, you got to nail it, and then you can whinge and cry once the curtain's down, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
When no one's looking.
Yeah, but again, sleep, really important. Sleep. I don't know much about mental health back then. I wasn't really caring about it back then, to be fair, at 19, 20. But for me, it was more like, you know, getting in the water every day and being outside, you know, being in an island, a tropical island, you can't really hide from it too much, you know? So, and just being around good people. But I was in a growing phase and, heaps of ups and downs. But there was days where I wanted to call in sick, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I think there was a couple of times where I'd run a pub crawl till about 2, 3 in the morning, and then I have to get up and run a boat party at 9 a.m. So those times that you're hungover and you just want to sleep and cuddle up and hide in the room.
Oh, God.
I had to get up and be like, all right, we're back on again. So
have a couple of drinks. It's all good.
Yeah. So the alcohol definitely helped. There were sometimes I couldn't drink though that consistently, so I'd pretend. Yeah. And like have water in my cup, but I'd pretend it's vodka Sprite. Yeah. Just so people don't feel uncomfortable that you have a sober host or whatever. So I got to learn how to host sober as well because it wasn't healthy. I think I did the first month and then I felt really bad, like shakes and putting on weight and all that. And I was like, I need to at least have some days off. Yeah. But it did get bad where I was 6 days on, and then my one day off was when I had my day off with my friends. So then back on it again. So it was consistent for a while, but it wasn't a long-term thing.
Yeah. And obviously living in the Philippines, as most people are probably aware of, Thailand, Philippines, that can sort of there's obviously some sort of dodgy parts about living there, and you hear about, tourists getting murdered or kidnapped or whatever. Did you ever run into any trouble, or was there ever a point where you felt unsafe or there was anything going on?
Yeah, definitely. I had a good handful of moments.
Oh gosh.
And the first time was before I got to Boracay. I was in Manila and I went out with my cousins, and it was our first time going out. So it was my first time going out in the city, and coming from Thailand, I was like, oh, we'll be right, all good. And there was one time there was an argument outside. They saw me, these locals, and apparently they started yelling at me. I started yelling back. Then I saw a knife, and then I ran. I just ran so fast. I just ran. Didn't even do it. I just ran. My cousins chased me, and I was like, "You all good?" I was like, And then I was like, "Oof."
That was close. That much. Yeah,
especially back then, 2014. I didn't really see much knives in New Zealand or anything. So that happened, and then there was just a lot of sketchy times with locals, especially when alcohol's around. On the pub crawls, I got drugged. Actually, funny enough, I got spiked. True story.
Oh my god!
I got spiked by a transvestite porn star that was trying to take advantage of me, and I was sober. I was sober one night hosting a party because I was hungover from the other night, and I was like, no, I'm just going to stay sober. And she or he or whatever, they kept offering me a drink, and I was like, no, all good. And then right towards the end of the night, I ended up taking that drink, and then I ended up having a sip, and then I think I drank half of it, and then my other pub crawl guide came to me and said, hey, you all good? I was like, I'm feeling a bit buzzed. I felt like I took something strong. And literally, I think it was probably about 5 minutes later, I was passed out. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was the only drink I had that night, nothing else.
Where did you pass out?
I passed out right there and then. And lucky enough, I had a pub crawl host with me who saw it, super lucky, and he ended up putting me in a tricycle, which was the taxi version of the motorbikes there. And then the person that did the spike on me asked, I'll go with him and make sure he's okay. And then my other host was like, hell no.
No way.
No.
Oh my god.
And he took me home, and I woke up in my bed. So that was scary because that could have gone very wrong.
Far out. Don't accept drinks from strangers, everyone.
Even as a guy.
Let that be a lesson.
Even as a guy.
Oh my god.
That was scary. And just other times, I think while I was running backpacker tours, I came across really intense situations down south where, the itinerary would get messed up because flights were getting cancelled and things like that. So we had to find other routes, and you don't normally go down south in the Philippines. That's where a lot of the Muslim and the ISIS and a lot of the dodgy stuff and the kidnappings happen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I ended up bringing a tour down because I had no option. And we went through we went through a military stop. I thought it was a military stop at first, and it wasn't.
Oh.
It was the other guys, and that was scary. That was real scary.
I bet. How did, like, with, obviously you'd have your clients with you too, like,
yeah.
how did you, like, keep it, like, obviously chill for them, let alone for yourself? That would have been hard.
It was sketchy. We were, like, flying down to this area that, you know, wasn't really touristy, and the only way to get to the end destination was sort of flying there and driving up. So I just rocked up there. I think I had 22 passengers with me. Shout out to True Travels, over and above for you guys. We rocked up and I ran outside the airport straight away. Literally just lost my wallet as well, so that was great. Just real stressful. Ran out, had to get there was no one at the airport, and I just like found the guy with a van. He got 2 vans, and then I said, "Can you drive us 6 hours away? I'll give you this much." Just literally hoping he was a good person. And then all my tours like jumped in the van. They were pissed off because they knew it was a longer travel to go. We just traveled for I think 11 hours before that, so they were over it. And I was just trying to keep everyone calm. And then we started driving up, and I got some beers in them and said, "All good, Boracay roadie." They were having a couple of drinks, and then they all fell asleep because we were 3 hours in. It's probably about 10 p.m. at night now. So they all crashed out, and I was still awake in the front seat in the front van. There was a cop stop, I thought, in my eyes, and then we got there was no uniforms, and I was like, just guys with guns, and it was like hectic, and I was like half asleep, like, what's going on? And lucky that everyone was asleep in the back, so no one actually saw anything, I don't think. And that was scary, because at the time I was very, very tan, and I had bleach blonde hair, so I looked pretty philo, so that when the guy knocked the gun on the window and put it down, he asked the driver like what's going on, what he's up to, and then I looked at the driver, and that was the moment where I was like, okay, this is where it goes down. You know, like, and lucky enough the driver was just like, oh I'm just with because I could understand the language he was speaking at the time, Bisaya, and he said, oh, these are my workers for construction, and we're just driving them up to the next site. And he lucky enough he didn't even look in the back. As soon as he looked in the back, if he saw 20, two buses full of 20 English people, it would have been all over from there. It would have been a kidnapping, and the embassies would have got in touch, and I would have been responsible for it. So my heart was pounding. And
my heart's pounding now.
I was a lot of trauma. I remember I just didn't want to say anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't want him to know I was a foreigner. Yeah. So I didn't talk. I just wanted to just like listen. And when the guy said, "Oh no, these are just my workers," I mean, the guy could have read us in and probably got paid, but he didn't. Yeah. And when we got to the destination, I remember giving him a tip out of the company's money, and I think I gave him like $200 New Zealand, and I was like, "Thank you so much." And the company was like, "Why did you give him that?" I was like, "No, you deserved it. We deserved it. Like we just survived that." So that was very traumatic. I didn't tell my mum that for like probably 2 years.
Oh my god!
And when she found out, she stressed out. She's like, "Why would you put yourself in that situation, right?" And I was like, "I don't know. I was doing it to be a good tour guide, unfortunately."
Thank God everything worked out.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most traumatic experiences I've had over there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And did anything else happen while you lived there? Or? Just a couple run-ins, like I remember in Backyard Island, the locals there, the surfers would get very protective over the girls they teach. So the girls that they teach as a surf instructor somehow become their property. If you talk to that girl, you get in trouble. Yeah. So there's a bit of fights that went down, but living on the island as well, there was some sign of respect there, so they would let me know. Yeah. But when I brought tours there, I had to let the guys know, hey, if you see a local talking to a girl, please don't. Yeah. Because they will attack, and it's scary, especially having to be the one involved. Like, hey, don't. And then the locals say, oh, you're cock blocking me, you always do this. I say, no, I'm not. I'm just trying to look after the girls. Yeah. Very stressful over there. Drama galore. Yeah. And so you had other plans for your sort of end time in the Philippines. What was was it a resort that you were looking at?
Yeah. So I think when I first got there at 20 years old, 19, I told myself I wanted to do something in the Philippines long term. I wanted to have something in tourism, whether it's a resort or backpackers. Yeah. So coming back to Australia to work, I had the goal in my head at that time that I was going to buy some property, and I was going to get my citizenship, dual citizenship in the Philippines, so I could buy legally. And I did that, saved the money, and then I went there at 22 years old. No idea what I was doing. Jeez, no idea. I had about 1 million pesos in my backpack. So that's about like 40, 50 grand cash
Oh my god.
in my backpack, thinking that it was a good idea to go and buy it on the spot. And yeah, that was just a, urgency buy, excited, wanted to prove a point, trying to chase a dream. 22, no fucks given. And I went and bought that property, and it was one of the coolest days of my life because I actually hit a milestone. And I was telling people in Australia, they come into my cubicle and they'd see my little, because I was in a call center at the time trying to save, and I'd be like, "What's all these photos of your wall?" And I'm like, "That's my vision board." I said, "Oh, I'm gonna buy land in the Philippines and build a resort." And people would be like, "Oh, what the hell?" Rah, rah, rah. And I was like, "No, I'm gonna do it. Like, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm sitting right here, right now." And they were like, "Oh, Buzzy, like, we'll see." So I think it was literally like a year after, I just went and did it.
Yeah.
I just went and flew over there, and I had some money saved, and I loaned the rest, and then, flew over there, bought it, and I was like, "Yeah, I think I did it right." And came back to Australia, worked for the year, went back over to the Philippines for a boys' trip, and then, found out I got scammed.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, it was hectic. Oh. So when I bought the property, a girl that I knew over there, a friend, she was like real estate agent at kind of it, so she was like the agent. I bought it off someone, but when I arrived, a guy rocked up and he said it was his land, so I was like, all good, and there was already signatures on the paper, and I thought that it was already done. So me being, clueless, I was like, oh, this seems legit, all good. I even had my uncle and stuff there, like trying to make it legit. Signed it off, passed him the cash, and then he took the cash, sweet as happy days, walked off. And at the time, what I didn't know is that the 2 signatures on the paper were supposed to be from the original owners, and those signatures were fake. And I didn't know. And the guy that was selling me the land was actually the real agent. So there was 2 agents getting involved now. So now I don't know whose land it was or anything at this point. So when I came back to find out I was scammed, that was hectic. I was in Backyard Island for a 2-week break just to check on the land and try to do the legal paperwork to get it through. And I was training. It's funny enough, I was training at a kickboxing gym there, and a girl was training there too, and we started talking, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like building a hostel here," and I was like, "Oh, same." I was like, "Buzzy as," and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go see the owner of my land. This is his name," and I was like, "Oh, that's who I bought mine off," or what I thought. And she was like, "Oh, you wanna come see him?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great, because that's why I'm here." And so that worked out. She took me to go see him, and once I got into this house and saw him, I realized I don't know this person. And I was like, he doesn't know me either. And I walked in, and he was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Jason. I bought your property. Here's the deed of sale." And he was like, "Oh, did ya?" I had a look, and at the time I was really bad at translating too, because this was when I was 23 at this time, I think. And I couldn't, I don't know what he was saying. So this girl was now translating for us. So it was really, really difficult. And he pretty much said, "Oh, no, that's a fake signature, not a real deed of sale. Sorry." And my heart just dropped, eh?
Wow.
Yeah, my heart just dropped. I was just like, what? Nah. And before it was shit, because before I bought the land, I had a lot of people being like, don't get scammed, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
My dad was like, don't be an idiot, you shouldn't do this. Why don't you just buy a house? Why don't you be normal? And I was like, I'm not normal.
Like, I'm not normal.
No, I'm crazy. I was like, I'm crazy, man. I'm not normal. I'm just something cool.
Gotta do it big. Or go home.
Yeah. Hard out. So I went big, hard.
Yeah.
And then I got scammed, and then, long story short, from there, I just had to sort of like deal with that guy and be like, hey, well, can we come to an agreement, because this sucks. Like, I was like, where's the dude that I bought it off? And I showed him a photo, and he's like, oh, that guy. And I was like, yeah, that guy. He was like, oh, he's in jail for scamming people. And I was like, nah. I was like, this is getting worse. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, that guy's in jail for scamming people as he scammed you. And I was like, well, why did he sell the land? And he said, our son, he hangs out with that guy, and I think that our son might have sold him the land temporarily, and then he sold the land to you, and then he didn't pay us for the land, so that money just disappeared, and now he's in jail. So we never received any money for this land. So
you didn't get any money back?
No, gone. At that point, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, all right, well, what do I do? And then I had to go to a lawyer at that time, and I didn't tell anyone yet. I went to a lawyer. I said, what are my options? He said, you got 2 options. You can either fight it, take them to court. They might kill you. They're a powerful family.
What?
They own a lot of the land here. They might kill you, not to just to save the drama. And I was like, yeah, we'll go to the or, because like that's that's not happening.
An option.
Yeah, and I was like, what's the other one? And it was like, you can come to an agreement with them and pay them whatever, but you need to cut a deal with them, and that's up to you. And I was like, well, I had to really drop my ego for that one, being a Kiwi and coming from an alpha male group of friends. I was like, nah, fuck that, I'm fighting this. And I was
that's
like,
your first instinct, like, fuck these motherfuckers, we're on. But you kind of have to realize that you're not the alpha in that situation, and shit could get really bad. Crazy.
Yeah, real bad. So at that point, it was just like, all right, well, we're gonna have to cut a deal. So I went back to their family and said to them, like, gave them a pretty hectic, sad story. And I think I used my background in sales, and I just built this huge story proposition to them and said, hey, like, well, I told them the truth. I was like, at the end of the day, I was trying to build something for my family here, and you're not just ripped off me, who looks like a half-caste foreigner. You've also ripped off half my family that live in the same island as you.
Yeah.
Like, I know you didn't rip them off, but that guy did. So
he's your family.
And then they were like, why don't you go get the money off him? So I went to the jail. That was intense. And I asked the guy for the money back, and he just laughed. And I was like, cool.
Oh my god.
Sweet as. Well, I'll go back to the family, and I just said to them, is there any way we could, like, sort this? And they said, okay, well, since you're such a nice boy. Now, this is after like a week of trauma. I couldn't sleep at night. I was embarrassed. I was crying.
And you hadn't told anyone either.
No, my ego was in the way. I couldn't tell people that I lost the man.
Going through the motions.
Yeah, couldn't sleep. Going out every night drinking so that I could sleep. Because if I tried to sleep, I'll just think, I just lost all that money. I've got to go home like a loser. This and that. Biggest failure. It was like a lot of bad negative thoughts. Like, I've never had thoughts that were so negative that I started questioning things.
Yeah.
And that's when I felt real depression.
Yeah.
And alone depression as well. So, we sussed it in the end, and we cut a deal after a week of back and forth. And funny enough, this girl that I met, she's just a friend as well. There was no intimacy or anything, but she was just helping me the whole time. And I was like, why are you helping me? And she was like, because if I was in your position, I would want help. Because you are fucked. She was like, you don't know anyone here. You can't speak the language. You don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And, mate, look at you. You're a mess.
How crazy is it that...
Yeah.
Like, I am through my own personal circumstances through life, whenever I've gone through troubles or whatever, there's always someone that comes out of the woodwork or something, like, completely out of the blue, and it's almost like they're there for a purpose to just, like, guide you through the situation. It's pretty trippy.
It was, hectic. Couldn't believe it. I keep questioning her when she was helping me too.
Yeah.
And why? Why are you helping me?
Speaking of females too, obviously when you were running the tours and stuff, I'm sure you would have come across a few ladies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Any romances?
There was many. Yeah. I just got to have a relationship when I went to Philippines first at like 19, 20, and I was single and I was exploring, and I was used to relationships with New Zealand girls. So now you put me overseas running international pub crawls on a party island. I didn't see much Kiwis. It was all and they found me very unique. So it was fun, but there was a lot of trouble with connection. I was living on a tourist island. People were coming and going. Yeah. So, I was getting used quite a bit, as much as I was using people at the time. You get like, married women using you, and then you find out they go home to their husbands, and you just feel like a toy boy. And at the time, like, it was funny. Like, we'd laugh about it, but then deep down, I'd be like, oh, I kind of liked her.
Yeah, right. And
she's just gone back to her husband, and I was just used. Yeah. So I started to see a lot of different things and different ways of life, but yeah, there was some good times. There's some bad times. I got a girlfriend at one point over there.
Oh my god!
And she hated me running tours.
I bet.
But I was in a relationship with someone a bit older than me, and she was full Filipino, and we both live on the island together, so that was nice. And but even through then to like running backpacker tours, like there's rules. You're not supposed to get with anyone on tour and things like that. But as you do, sometimes you make mistakes. So it is what it is. It didn't affect any of the tours, which was great, but. it was a struggle. It was a struggle when you're in a situation like that and girls are throwing themselves at you and you know, you don't really know what they want, but you know what you want. And then whatever happens, and then they leave, and then you're lonely again, and it's like, it just gets to this real bad cycle. And then you come back to New Zealand, and you're like, oh, I'm not actually that hot. You come back and like hit this reality.
Wow.
Yeah, you hit this reality, and you're like, oh, no one is as keen as they were over there, and it's just because I was in that position.
Yeah, right.
So really, and it's bad. A lot of people go through it as well. They'll go overseas and live this great life, and then come home and then realize, oh, I'm not as special as I thought I was. And that really does hurt, because it takes you a long time to go back into reality and adjust to that you're just Jason here.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
well, you're not just Jason, you're more.
So back then?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's on that holiday lifestyle looking for like a holiday romance.
That's
too.
it. They're looking for the little island boy, and that was me.
Yeah.
I was a half Kiwi, half Filipino living in a treehouse.
Perfect.
Running parties. Sounds
So,
ideal.
You ended up sorting out the land situation.
Yeah. Ended up sorting out the land, so real quick. They asked for some money. They were like, we want this much. And I was like, I don't have that much. I don't have, just gave you the money. And they were like, oh, good. I was like, can I pay it off? And they were like, yep. I was like, yes. So at that point, I was like, sweet, get the lawyer in. Let's write this up. Boom, boom, boom. Sussed it. I had to do a whole deed of sale all over again. Had to do a whole sale again. That was hectic. And at the time, I was getting phone calls from my work being like, where you at? You're supposed to be here 2 days ago. And I was like, oh, shit. And then once I signed it off, before we finished the last signature, they said to me, okay, so how are you going to deliver the payments? And I said, I'm going to go back to Australia. I'm going to go back to my job. I'm going to work. I'm going to pay you off. You know, and they were like, nah. They were like, we don't want you leaving the Philippines because we think if we sign this to you, you're going to leave and you're not going to pay us. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And they were like, we need you to stay in the Philippines and pay us in cash each month this amount. And I was like, oh, I didn't plan to stay. Like, you know, I've got a whole life back in Melbourne, you know. I've got a job. I've got a house, a room I'm renting. I've got friends there. I've got a relationship I'm trying to patch up. Like, I was like, I can't. And they were like, well, say goodbye to the land then. And I was like, and that's when I had to make another decision where I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm staying. Because I wasn't going to run away from this problem because I was the one that caused this problem.
Yeah, of course.
Instead of running like I normally would, I just like took it on the chin, and that's when I had to start making phone calls. So that was tough. I had to call my dad and told him, I fucked up. Don't tell me you told me so, because I know and I'm staying here to fix it.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
And he was like, all good, well, do what you got to do. My mum told her I'm staying. She was like, all right. Well, it was the second time I told her, because the first time when I was younger, she was like, all good. And I had to tell the girl I was trying to patch things up with, I'm not coming home. And I had to quit my job. All on the same day. Just full on as. And
oh my God.
Then I had to accept that I was going to find some sort of underpaying job, and I'm going to have to work there for probably an equivalent of a couple years to pay this debt off.
Wow.
And I had to accept that. And I was like a bit like, oh, is it worth it? I said, yeah, well, I'll find ways. And funny enough, a girl that I used to work with in the Philippines, shout out to Riza, she was the girl that trained me to be a pub crawl host, funny enough. She called me at the time, was like, hey, you're in the Philippines, and I was in a bad place, and I was like, yes, I am here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, not happy about it.
Don't want to be here. Yeah, and she was
here
like,
we are. Yeah.
She pretty much said to me, I've got a job offer. And I was like, yeah, what is it? And she said, I've got a job running backpacking tours. And I was like, I've never done it before. I've only run one-day parties. Like, I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And I was like, I also don't know if I want to be around that kind of like environment right now when I'm like going through all this stress. And she was like, oh, well, they pay in pounds.
Well, hello then. Sign me up.
Yeah. And I was like, we on? I was like, what do I got to do? And they flew me to, I got the job, obviously. I really needed that job, so I just nailed the interview. And they flew me to Thailand for a trial tour. And the trial tour, funny enough, was a full moon party tour.
Oh, perfect.
10-day party tour. I had to go on as a guest.
10 days.
And I had to make sure I didn't break the rules. And they wanted to see what I was like on the piss and what I was like around people. So it was funny. There was about 4 of us, 4 dudes, me and 3 English fellas. And we were all on a test. And I was the only one that got through. Because the rules were just simple, you know. It was like, don't do drugs, don't get too drunk, and don't get with anyone on tour. That was it.
One of those in 10 days is guaranteed to happen.
Yeah. On a full moon party tour as well, and they're mainly English, so they were just loving it on the piss. So
of course.
it was fun, and I needed that job. I really needed that job because of the land. So I didn't break those rules. And it was hard, like it was real hard, and but I didn't. And then I got the job. Then they flew me to Philippines, and then I ran tours for a year.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how I got into becoming a tour guide. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then so obviously you're back here. Did you end up going back to Melbourne, or did you come back here, and what brought you back this way?
Yeah. So I did tours for about a year. I paid off my debt. Happy days. And it was really cool because I got to really, learn that I loved creating memorable experiences. So from pub crawls to boat parties to backpacker tours, I was like, yeah, I'm good at this. And I was like, and I really like it. So I was like, sweet, mean. I ended up leaving the Philippines though to come back to New Zealand. I was going to stay longer in the Philippines because I was just having so much fun.
Yeah.
And I was getting things done on my land too because I was actually there, in the present. But I got a phone call from my sister at the time, and she was going through a really tough time with her partner, and things were just going really bad for her. And I won't go into too much detail because that's her story, but things were just really bad, and she called me, and she would never really call me and ask for help because she knows I'm out doing whatever. But at the time, she just said, I really need you here right now.
Yeah,
everything's going to fall off. My business is going to fall off. I can't do this. And by the time my mum and my sister and my stepdad were all moving back from Melbourne to Auckland for Vanessa.
Yeah.
And it was like a family call. It was like, everyone come home now. Shit's hit the fan.
Yeah.
So at the time I was like, sweet as. I hung it up and I was like, I'm off. And I told my company I'm leaving. They were like, sweet as, you did your year. Really happy. And it was like, all good. So then I came back to New Zealand and lived with my sister for a bit and got a job in recruitment again.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was then paying off. I was setting up construction and setting up infrastructure for the resort that I wanted to buy because I did get the land back.
Yeah.
Don't worry, team. Don't give up on things. Yes. My goodness.
See it through.
You got to. Yeah. So
amazing.
Back in New Zealand at that time and was working in recruitment, suit and tie. Mm-hmm. So I went from tropical 1 year of backpacker tours straight back into my moneymaker, which was sales and talking. Funny enough.
Yes. And so what time frame was this? Was this started last year or 2019?
When was it? 2019.
Okay.
2019, probably about July, came home for my 24th or 25th birthday, one of those.
Shit.
And I haven't lived in New Zealand at that point for 5 years.
Yeah, it's fuzzy coming back. I can totally relate. Yeah.
It was hard. Yeah, it was very hard to adapt and know that I wasn't leaving.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I was trying to leave again. I was trying to go back over to Aussie and trying to set up a job over there, just because I couldn't accept being home. I couldn't accept it, and
it's a hard pill to swallow. Like when you go away and you've been away for so long, and you're establishing this lifestyle overseas, and you're becoming a different person, and it's like it almost feels like you're taking a step back in life, having to come back to your upbringing. And I think because you feel so grown from all your experiences that you just don't sort of recognize the person that you used to be when you lived here. Big time. Definitely felt that. So transitioning from party lifestyle to obviously working corporate again and in sales, how did that impact you? Because people talk about like fear of missing out and stuff like that, and to go from such a full-on lifestyle of always constantly being on and having fun to going back into like a professional environment, how did that impact you? Or did it impact you?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was tough. Yeah, having to wake up, iron your shirt, make your lunch, go to work.
9 to 5.
9 to 5, listen to someone, get yelled at, meet KPIs, sales, change the way I spoke. Because I was speaking so casually and fun when I was a guide, to like recruitment where it's very serious like this. Jason Goodson, how you doing? And it was tough. Like it was really tough. But I think after like a month or two, because I used to do recruitment before, I kind of just got back into it. But then the party never stopped. Like I kept drinking at the time. The money I made from recruitment and the commission would go on partying and nice clothes and jewelry and all that cool stuff to be the man. Trying to hang out with the cool crowds, all that, and I wasn't getting rewarded like I wanted to, The photos were cool and the videos were cool and all this, but I wasn't bringing myself happiness. and I was getting worse and worse. My drinking was getting worse, you know. I did 6 months of pub crawl and boat parties, and I came back to the environment of like a year of like, you know, hectic party tours where it was 19 days on and 10 days off.
Yeah.
And then I came to New Zealand where working corporate, you know, take people out for drinks, this and that, get a bit naughty, rah rah rah.
Yeah.
And then it just got heavy. I moved into a flat, which was really fun. I met some cool people and really cool people, but we were all young and we're living in a 6-bedroom house in Mount Eden. You know, I was working in town. So I've left West Auckland at this point now, and I've just got into the town life. And then, drinking got heavy, and the work got hard. You know, I was good at what I did, but I was never happy doing it. And that's a really interesting thing to try and learn, that, you might be going to the job every day, and you might be good at it, and you might be getting rewarded and getting pay rises, but like, are you happy doing it? Do you enjoy what you're doing? Because if you're not, then, you know, then you're just going to literally not enjoy like 40 hours of your week.
For sure.
Or plus another 10 for traffic or whatever.
Yeah.
That's 50 hours out of your week that you're not happy.
Yeah, and that's a big portion, like 100%.
So it was tough, yeah.
And then, so you're here working, helping out the fam and stuff.
Yeah.
COVID hits.
Oh yeah, that was hectic.
Yeah. I remember because I was here just before it hit, and it was just coming out in the news and stuff, and like I was just like here for 2 weeks, got back to Perth. As soon as I landed, it was like, ooh, talks of lockdown, and everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on? So how did that first sort of lockdown COVID situation, how did that impact you? And because that's where Backyard Roadies was born, wasn't it?
Your
baby,
my baby. So at the time, I was planning a trip to Coachella. This is pre-COVID or anything. Yeah, I was super excited. I needed to get out again. And again, I wanted to party. Yeah. You know, I was like, yep, I'm going to keep partying. We're going to go overseas and do it, this and that. It was a great lineup. It was like Rage Against the Machine, Travis Scott. Anywho, super excited for it. Had the outfits ready, this and that. And then Coachella was the first thing cancelled. So Coachella got cancelled, and everyone was like, whoa, what's going on here? And they were like, COVID. And everyone was like, whoa, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then that's when it all went down. Everything else started getting cancelled. I think tennis got cancelled, this got cancelled, blah, blah, blah.
Flights.
Then the world went into lockdown.
Yeah, and it was like, come home. Like, this is your last opportunity. Like, I remember
come
that
now.
panic. Yeah.
Like, get home now. And I was like, well, I'm already home. So I was like, all good. And when that hit, it was like, okay, my trip got cancelled. That sucks. We're now all working from home and struggling with all the stuff and getting subsidies, and all that stress was bad enough. But the biggest stress for me was that, again, my goal just got shat on again. I can't continue my Philippines project that I was working on for like 4 years at that time. And I was like, really? Like, again? Like, I thought I'd just been through all this shit to get here, and then the borders have closed. So, I literally had to just swallow that pill and just say, oh, well, this isn't happening. So I might as well just give up on this big dream I had and just be normal. Yeah. And not have any dreams and just work and just save for whatever, like, you know? Yeah. So that was bad. That was real bad, yeah. So I had to just, lucky the land was paid off, so now it's just land banking. But all the architecture and all the hard work I did was basically put on hold. But during that first lockdown, for some reason I just kept working on it. Because I was like, all right, well, I've got nothing else to do, so I'll keep working on it. When things open, I'm ready. And I got to the point where you can only work so hard until you actually can't do any construction. So got right to that point where I was like, okay, now what? I'm ready to go. COVID wasn't stopping anytime soon. No. It was getting hectic. And literally, I think it was about June or May. I can't remember when we came out of that lockdown. We got back into level 2. And this is before Backyard Roadies. So we came out of that first ever lockdown. I started going back into work in the office. All good. And then, this part's hectic, so get ready. I was out one night, this is level 2 now, I was out after work on a Friday with the friends. I was suiting tie, I was, having a good time. And we had a big night, and then I was walking. I was basically just walking in town, walking towards a taxi because my phone died. I couldn't get an Uber, I was trying to get a kebab. Blah, blah, blah. Got attacked by 3 dudes. What? I didn't even start it either, so that sucked at all. Like, I just got attacked, like, blindshotted and just, like, fully just, like, bashed to the point where, like, I don't remember it. Well, I remember the first punch, but I don't remember anything else. And I woke up in the middle of the road with a random stranger picking me up, and I like kind of woke up and tried to push him off, and I thought like he was attacking me.
Oh,
and he was like, no, I'm trying to like help you, man. I just scared those guys off. I just saw those cowards. Like, are you all good? I didn't know what was going on. I was like on the ground, blood everywhere, like ripped shirt, headache, like chipped teeth, like bad. Yeah, like just didn't know what was going on. And I kind of got up and was like, yeah, all good. Like, like and then he was like, do you want me to order you an Uber? And I was like, nah, like my phone's dead. And he was like, oh, I'll order you one, bro. Because I was in that bad a shape that a stranger had to come and save me.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he sent me home, and the Uber driver was like, holy shit, when I jumped in, probably. So I was just wrecked. And I remember getting home that night and just being really upset and just like crying, and I didn't know why, and I was severely concussed. I had no idea.
Yeah, I bet.
Woke up in the morning, looked in the mirror, and I was like, holy shit, like 2 black eyes, busted nose, chipped teeth, like bruised head, like, and this was the crazy part. I woke up in the morning and I was like, looked, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And then I just moved on. And I from the trauma of growing up in West Auckland and getting into fights all the time, and, you know, people getting jumped and all this, for me, I was like, oh, I just got attacked. I just got smashed. That's what I thought at the time. And so I carried on my day as normal. Just stayed home, obviously. I didn't want to tell anyone. I was just trying to heal. And then I left the room for the first time. My flatmates see me and they were like, whoa, like, wow, what happened to you? Like, you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, no, I just got hiding. And again, these people weren't from West Auckland. So they were like, yo, like, that's not on. Like, you need to go to the hospital. You're acting weird, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, all good. And I didn't go. And then the next day, so this happened on a Friday, it's Sunday now. I'm still not there. And I thought I was just hungover yesterday. That's why I was being like weird. But that day I was like still really slow, this and that. And the girls in my house were like, no, you'll go. And we're taking you to the doctor. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
So they took me to the doctor. And the moment it hit was when they asked me to fill out a form because I was going to a new doctor. And I couldn't spell my name. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's where it hit. And that's when I was like, oh, this is more than just the hiding. I was like, I couldn't spell my last name, which is super easy. It's Goodson, Goodson. I didn't know how to spell it.
Couldn't get any easier, probably.
No, and I'm like, and then I didn't know my date of birth, and then I put a really old phone number in, and then the lady was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "What actually happened to you?" And I was like, "I got attacked." And she looked at me, and then she saw my face because I was trying to hide it, and she was like, "Oh, I need to get you to the doctor right now." So I went, and then I was like, "Oh, this is really serious." I didn't realize it was, and then went to the doctor, and he was like, I told him what happened, and he was like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "Yeah, you're extremely concussed. Like, I don't even know how you're here. I don't even know how you came to the doctor." And I was like, yeah, neither. And then I went to concussion therapy, went to a specialist, and I had to go off work for like, I think it was 5-6 weeks. And I had to ring my boss and tell him, hey, mate, I got attacked. I can't come to work. And he was like, oh, really? And this is on I'm calling in sick on a Monday, right?
Oh, so are you sure you were just hungover from the weekend?
Yeah. And I was like, nah, like I actually got like really badly bashed. And he was like, oh shit, sorry. I was like, yeah, here's my doctor cert. Like, I'm going to see a concussion specialist. And he was like, trippy, all good, whoa, okay. And then at that time, I couldn't see properly. So like, the concussion was so bad I couldn't read. So I couldn't read my phone. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't read a book. Everything was fuzzy. My ears were very sensitive to noise. So everything was like painful and really sensitive to light. So, and I wasn't allowed to exercise or do anything. So all I could do, the specialist told me, was you can literally just chill. Yeah. And I was like, oh, normally when I chill, I'm on my phone or something. No screens.
Couldn't even do that.
No screens. Fuck. No screens, no books. So I was, I was in bed for 2 weeks straight. Like, just in bed, 2 weeks, lying there, thinking.
Contemplating.
Yeah, blaming myself, like all these real bad thoughts of like, oh, it's my fault, I should have defended myself, this and that, shouldn't have been out, blah, 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 blah. And then I got past that stage, and then I got to the stage of, wow, I could have died, you know? Yeah. And I was like, I was like thinking, especially when I was talking to a doctor, he was like, mate, a few more like hits to the head and you would have been in serious problem, you know? And I was like, oh, okay, wow, bit of an eye-opener there. Yeah. And that's when I realized, I was like, okay, I could have died then. And maybe if I go around the corner, I might get hit by a bus, whatever. I really got close to death, how I felt. So then I told myself that I want to do something with my life now. And I was like, I can't, like if I literally died that day, I would have nothing to show. And that's not the life that I want to leave with, you know?
The legacy, for sure.
Yeah, so that's when I had the moments to think.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dramatic.
I got chills, man.
Yeah, I haven't
Oh.
shared that story much because it's a bit too hectic to see how the
That's-
business started. But
Yeah, wow.
yeah, all that thinking I had, and blessing in disguise. The guys that bet me up, they should be co-founders of the business because they helped me think it up because I was in bed.
They put you in
And-
a position to formulate it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I really wanted to travel again and all this, and it couldn't happen. And
Yeah.
with all the time I had to think in bed, is when I created not the idea of Backyard Roadies yet, but it was the idea that I wanted to get back into tourism.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it here in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I discovered about myself in those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is that's where I belong. That's where I thrive at. And there's a reason why I keep escaping, the first world country, Australia, New Zealand, to go to Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And it's to do fun jobs and get paid fuck all.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
And have fun.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, why can't I do it here? So yeah, that's crazy enough. That's how I transitioned. And yeah, then from there it was all go.
Grew. And
Yeah.
so I remember you telling me when we had coffee that obviously you formulated the idea that way, but it became Backyard Roadies when you were with your sister.
Yeah, that was awesome. So, God, what was it? Maybe a week later from the attack, I finally went to my mum's house, and I still had black eyes and stuff, and she was like, "Whoa, what the hell?" Like losing it,
Freaking out.
fully losing it, and she's like, "Why wouldn't you tell me? Rah, 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 why do you do this to yourself?" Being a protective mum.
Yeah.
Sister was real pissed off too. Like she couldn't believe seeing her little brother like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, then my sister was like, I want to take you away with me because I know you're just lying in bed doing nothing. Why don't you just come on a road trip with me to the Mount? I'm setting up an event, rah, rah, rah. And at this time, like I never really hung out with my sister because I was abroad. She was here. I'd see her the occasional time for an event. So this time I was like, yeah, let's hang out. Even when I was living with her, she was busy. But then she was like, come away with me and the girls. I went to the Mount and when she was doing like a Shan XO pop-up or something. And while we were up there, so I already sort of had the idea. And just before we left to go on that road trip, we were in the garage the night before. I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit stoned. Shouldn't have been smoking at the time with concussed, but I was.
True.
And it was me, her, and one of her workers at the time, and we were just sitting there, and I think she was making balloons. And I was just sitting there, just hanging out, and then I sort of said to her, oh, like, you literally get to do what you love every day, eh? And this is what you do. And she was like, yeah, I just make balloons and do what I love, and yeah.
Events and things, yeah.
And I was like, that's wicked. I was like, I want to do something like that. And she was like, yeah, you were. Remember with your resort, but you can't now. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it now. And she was like, well, what are you going to do? And yeah, we brainstormed, and I never forgot it. I said to her, I want to run tours again. And she said, well, go and see if you can like find a job as a tour guide. If not, just create your own. And I was like, what do you mean just create my own? It's not that easy. And she was like, well, why not? And I was like, oh, because I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. And she was like, all right, well, there's a whiteboard. Here's a pen. Go up there.
Draw
and
it out.
I was like, oh, shit. I was like, all right. Like, I got nothing to lose. Just my sister. I'm not embarrassed. I'm in a garage in Ranui. Shout out. All day. That's where it started. And yeah, it just started writing. And I said, oh, like, tours, backpackers, crossed out backpackers because it was pandemic. I said New Zealanders or Kiwis, people living here. 18 to 35, I want young, I want the Kiwi road trip. I started writing all this stuff and filled up a whole whiteboard, and I just kept going. And I was really having fun brainstorming.
Yeah.
And then she was like, all right, step back. So I stood back, and she was like, look. And I looked at her, and I was like, yeah, it looks like a whole bunch of like writing and stuff. Like, and she was like, no, that's your business plan.
Wow. Right there in Ranui.
Right there, man, in Ranui, in the garage.
Shout out to the sis.
Yeah, shout out to Ness, OMG Ness Styling. And yeah, after that I was like, cool, sweet. Well, I didn't have a name or anything, but I was like, okay, let's just do domestic tours, which was crazy because I started Googling it and no one's ever done it before.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, wow, maybe someone has done it and didn't do well or something, but no one's ever done it and no one's had to do it because we never had a pandemic like this in a long time. So
and no one generally thinks tourism during a pandemic. like at all.
Crazy. I'm
Everyone's
crazy.
just like, there's no way in hell. Like I remember because I was doing banking back when it all happened, and I had a guy that was bringing in Chinese tourists from China to Perth and traveling them around and stuff, and he was just like, from the very first week I think I got back from New Zealand in February last year, he was like, yep, my business is down the drain. So, and like for me, I was like, holy shit. And I remember seeing you launch Backyard Roadies on the gram, and I was just like, okay, this guy's got game, like good on him. And obviously I always like, whenever someone I know is starting something new, it's just like, fuck yeah, go for it, because you just never know. And here you are, so mid-pandemic, starting the tour company. And you first started up running tours up north?
Yeah. So we literally after I got the idea, I was still on leave from work. Or medical leave, whatever, ACC, and I just jumped in my car, Once I had the idea, I was like, cool, I'm going to jump in my car, and I'm going to travel around New Zealand, and by myself, and I'm going to set up this tour. And I started with Central North Island first, the most cliche spots. I went to like Coromandel, Turua, Tauranga, Taupo, Raglan, and back. And I remember rocking up, it's so funny thinking about it. Me and my car, it's peak winter, I think it's like, I don't know, probably like July now at this point, and I'm just driving around, knocking on these doors, accommodations. They're dead quiet, like they're about to shut down pretty much. It was really sad actually seeing some of it. Some of these hostels and accommodations were selling to social housing because they just couldn't survive. And here's me, little brown boy, knocking on the door, just like trackies, like obviously they don't know what I'm doing. Just like, hey, what's going on? They're like, hey, what's up? And I was like, hey, I got a plan. I'm going to run this tour company, and we're going to do tours around New Zealand for New Zealanders. And they were just like, what? Yeah, most of them were like, what? Are you serious?
Are you on drugs?
Yeah. They're like, it's a pandemic, and Kiwis won't do a tour in their own country. I was getting a lot of that. And some of them would be like, yeah, all good, here's my card. I didn't even have a card at the time. I think I was like, here's my phone number, and handed it to them. And yeah, we set up that tour. Well, I set up the Central 7-day North Island tour, and then I got in touch with my friend Isaac. You know Isaac London?
Isaac London.
When I was really getting serious about the idea, I was like, I need help, because I've never worked in New Zealand tourism before. I've never done anything like that in New Zealand, and I was like, I need someone that's done it. I need someone that's smart. I need someone that is, enthusiastic and just full of energy.
That's Isaac.
And that's Isaac. And I called him. I think I saw him a couple of times before. I called him, and I was at the Mount at the time, and I called him and said, hey mate, what are you up to? He's like, oh, I'm in South Island, coming up to Auckland now, tourism's dead down here. And I was like, oh, all good, well, I've got this idea, and I don't know if it's going to work, but can I just tell you? And he was like, yeah. Told him, and he was like, mate, it might not, but it might. And I was like,
I love that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, do you reckon? He was like, fuck, maybe. He was like, mate, it could work. He was like, I thought about doing something like that in Canada for Kiwis only over there, and Aussies. And I was like, yeah, can we do it here in New Zealand for Kiwis? He goes, fuck. I mean, no one's done it, but I reckon you could do it. You just got to make it right, you got to tailor it for them. And then I was like, yeah, bro, you keen? And he was like, fuck, yeah. And I was like, yeah, bro, well, let's do it. And he came up to Auckland, and then I already told him that I set up the Central North Island. And he goes, bro, what about Northland? And I said, fuck, I haven't been up there in ages. I was like, because he's from Opanoni, so he was like, go do Northland. He's like, go up there and let me know how you go. And he told me all the spots. So yeah, I just jumped in my car again and just by myself drove all the way to Cape Reinga.
Yes.
Knocking on doors, doing the same thing. And at the time, there was some people that believed in me, and they're still my suppliers now. Shout out to Northwind Lodge, Doolin. Shout out to Barefoot Sailing. But yeah, I got in touch, and I was really, really passionate then, because I had Isaac backing me. So I had someone being like, you got this. Yeah. And then I had my sister at the time, so I was just like really selling this idea to people, and they were like, you know what? Let's do it. They're like, we've got no bookings over summer anyway. They're like, yeah, come on through. So I was like, sweet as. And getting to Cape Reinga was very spiritual. So getting there, I had a moment there where I was letting go of a lot of stress, and it is a very, very spiritual place, very tapu,
Yeah.
so very nice to go up there alone. And there was a moment up there where I was kind of looking out the view, and then kind of being like, wow, I would love to bring people here, not just see what I see, which is, two oceans meeting, absolutely beautiful as well, but also feel anything that what we're feeling here at the moment. And yeah, then I brought people up there and kept doing it, and that was a moment. But yeah, Northland was the first tour. Up the East Coast, Tauranga Wairua to Cape Reinga, then back down the West Coast, down at Ahipara. 4 days, Thursday to Sunday. And once I did that by myself, we started working out logistics, me and Isaac. I created an Instagram page.
Yeah, that's right.
Got the name Backyard Roadies. And then I started posting like just travel photos, because I didn't have any content yet, because I didn't run a tour. So I was posting like travel photos, and a lot of people were following it. But I think they thought it was like a travel blog.
I was one of them, for sure.
Yeah, but I said it was tours. I was like, we're doing tours. And they were like, all right. And we did a trial tour in October last year. And I just got a whole bunch of... I messaged people that I knew. They were all my friends, but they didn't know each other. And I said, hey, I'm starting this business. Would you be keen to come on a road trip and just chip in, and we'll video it, and you won't know anyone? But I just want to see if this works. Like, I want to see if I can actually put 10 Kiwis together and they're going to get along, because I guess backpackers will get along just because they're traveling.
Yeah, they're paid to go do that. They're going with the intention of meeting people they don't know.
They're already out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it's like, are Kiwis going to be like that in their own country? Big risk. So I said, we'll just do a trial. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we know why no one's done it. Yeah. We ran that trial tour and it was amazing.
Yeah.
These people were so close after. Their only connection was me. They didn't know anyone. They didn't know each other. And we got a great video out of it. And then I think it was probably like 2 weeks later we launched.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. And you had a huge success after that, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty good. Sometimes you get so caught up you forget about what you've done. But I mean, I can passionately say, like, I'm very proud of that year. We ran 15 tours.
15, not bad.
Tours. Yeah. Did 11 Northland tours. Wow. And we did 3 out of 6 South Island tours, obviously due to the last lockdown, and just did my first Abel Tasman tour. So
amazing. Yeah,
COVID got in the way, but
yeah, I was gonna ask you. So obviously, what was it? August 17. Lockdown hits here in Auckland. Well, actually, the whole country at that point in time. What are we, like 100 and just came out of like 105-day lockdown here in Auckland. So you obviously had a few tours booked and no sort of clear picture on what it was going to take for us to get out, because at first it started with 5 days, which turned into 2 weeks, which turned into like 4, then almost 4 months later we're only just opening up now. How did that impact your mental health? Because obviously you just had to put everything on hold. So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, it was bad. I'm not gonna lie. It got bad again. And I knew a lot of other businesses were going through it. So prior to moving to Queenstown, obviously Isaac exited the business. I took over in January this year and ran it as usual. And then I packed up and went to Queenstown, because after the summer tours, I was like, all right, people were telling me, oh, you're just seasonal. I said, no, we got the South Island. So I actually packed up everything and I moved down there by myself. Yeah, and that was in about April this year, and I had a plan. I was like, sweet, I'm going to do the South Island tours, and same feeling I had when I started the business. It was just like, we're just going to go try it out.
Give it a go.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a go. If it's bad, I'll go back to Auckland, happy days. I lost a year of my life. Oh, well, probably learned a bit, but when I did go down there, it was challenging. It was a different environment. It's Queenstown. I had to meet new people, but I kept myself busy with work, so working from home. Made some good connections, and then we started running tours. I hired someone.
Yeah,
I hired this guy Ryan,
employee.
bro, a right-hand man, and he ran the first tour with me. Then he ran the second. Then he ran the third, and we were on a roll. Like we were running tours. We were doing well. They were selling. I was hitting good profit margins, and I was like, oh, I'm actually making money now. Like finally making a little bit of money. Yeah. Because now I've got to pay this guy. So
you need to make money. Yeah.
And we've had I think it was about six planned out, and then we're on the third tour, full tour. Like, I was like, I think the first tour was 5, the second tour was 5, and the third tour was 10. And then my other tours were 10, 10, 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, I've done it. You know, I've actually done it. Like, I hit this goal that I wanted. And then we're on the third tour on day 9, and we're on the West Coast. And the announcement came up. So I had to get them to Christchurch. And yeah, that was intense. That was like, all right, 11:59, lockdown. I was like, holy shit. And it was snowing a lot. So the passes were closed. So I couldn't even get them to Christchurch.
Oh my God.
So I was just like, holy shit, what am I going to... And obviously with COVID, they just like give you what? Like 4 hours to sort your shit out?
It was real quick.
Yeah. So I was just like, holy shit, I can't even get these people there anyway. We had to wing it.
Yeah.
Got them there in the morning. They all flew to Auckland or wherever they were in Wellington. I flew straight to Queenstown and went straight into a lockdown. And lucky it was the end of that tour, so I didn't have to refund them because the tour was pretty much over.
Yeah.
So we were good. And then, we partied hard that night though when we found out it was lockdown. We had this mean Airbnb and we were just like, oh well, we're going into lockdown. It's not going to be 3 days. Let's have a good time. Which I'm really happy we did because it obviously extended heaps. But came back to Queenstown and I was like, all good, not going to last long. We're on, like trying to stay positive. Then another tour, because my tours go 10 days on, 10 days off. So literally 10 days later I had another tour.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening. So I had to cancel that, refund everyone full. Mm-hmm. And then... it just kept happening. And then I pushed another one. I was like, surely this one. And then, extended again. Cancelled that. Refund them. Then the third one came and I was like, I really need this because I don't have any more money. Because, don't run a tour, don't make money.
You're not getting paid,
So I was like, shit. And then that one got cancelled and I'd had enough at that point. Like, I was just like, that was one of my entrepreneur moments where I was like, nah. Like, I'm going back to a normal job because this is just bullshit.
Yeah,
and I really felt tourism then, and I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to be in tourism. Because when I first launched, I was just playing with it.
Yeah.
And now being fully established, I was like, oh, this is what it feels like. So it was real tough. And I joined this the tourism industry Aotearoa, and I was getting a lot of support from like the government at the time. And to be fair, when I did speak up. So the tourism industry, TIA, they did like these monthly catch-ups, and they had like, I was nervous, but they had like 50, 60 other like, owners of other tourism businesses, so everyone in New Zealand on there. And there's little Jace just like on this chat, like brand new, like keen as, like I was just like rocked up on there, like it was like Zoom. Had my coffee and I was like, sweet as, like just like they're quiet, like just like watching, like quite shy, like everyone's like a bit older and a bit more established, and then they go around, they split you into groups of like I think 10. And then they went around, they go, oh, how's everyone going and how are you feeling? Because it was like a mental health catch-up. It was quite nice, actually. Cool. And then they asked me, and, they came on and they were like, all right, who wants to go? And I was like, quiet, like shy, like didn't want to go first, And they were like, do you want to go, Jason? And I was like, oh, yep. And I was like, hey, kia ora, guys, I'm Jason, owner of Backyard Roadies, blah, blah, blah. And I started letting them know, I was like, yeah, it's been tough. Like, I've had to cancel a couple tours. Lockdown sucks. But staying positive, blah, blah, blah. And then someone asked me in that chat, they go, all right, you make it sound really easy. How do you balance things out when you've just started this new business, blah, 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 and you've moved? And I said to them straight up, I was like, oh, I see a therapist. Yeah. And they were all like, whoa, like it was real taboo to say or something. And I was like, yeah, no, I see a therapist. Like, I have to balance myself out because what I'm doing isn't easy. And what all you guys are doing isn't easy either. So I need to go speak to someone about it, And like for me, I speak to my family, my friends and all that. But sometimes you just need someone that will just tell you straight.
Out of the situation too. Yeah. Completely removed. Yeah.
So, I did that and I spoke up on that and about it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and everyone was like, oh, that's really cool that you could like open up about it. I was like, yeah, like I just want to sharpen my brain. Like I'm not severely depressed right now or anything, but I'm just really, really confused in the way I react to things,
Yeah.
Why my brain's wired like this and what trauma I went through when I was younger to now make me do these things.
Yeah.
So
funny, I'm on the same journey with that as well.
Yeah, it's good, eh?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so funny. And like once you start having one realization, I feel like it's just like the penny keeps dropping and you're like, oh shit, that's why I do this, and like where this behavior stems from. So good on you.
Yeah,
amazing.
All good. So
pandemic or lockdown lifted, heading into summer, what have you got planned?
Oh yeah, we're on. Yeah, we're definitely on. So again, we're doing Northland tours again. So I
Yeah.
planned about 10 of those this summer. First one's on the 16th of December, as soon as we open. Yeah, it's going to be a get up summer. I've got 3 staff now, so I've got 2 tours running at the same time. And as soon as that December 15th date came out about opening Auckland,
Yeah.
I had 2 tours sell out straight away. So the 16th of December and the 1st January Abel Tasman tour.
Me, I'm in that one.
Yeah. Yay! No shit. Can't wait for that one. So yeah, we're gonna go for 19 tours this summer.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we're
That's
going
huge.
for 10 Northland tours and 9 Abel Tasman tours.
Amazing.
And then after that, we're gonna go back to the South Island. So yeah, I'm not slowing down. I've just doubled up, to be honest.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Come back with a vengeance. And what does the future hold for Backyard Roadies, other than from like just next summer, but
Yeah.
long term, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So I think for us, there's a lot of good ideas here, but for me, ideally is that we want to connect this business with a positive outcome,
Yeah.
not just make heaps of money and do this and do that, but it's really we want to use our platform to help more with mental health, help more with youth, and be able to use our product to even help people that need it,
Yeah.
to get them government funded to come on a tour and get outside and see things as well, so that people that really need a tour that can't afford it will be able to do a tour, either through government funding or our own sort of funding or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah, we want
That's
to sort of donate.
like never been done before.
No,
right?
not
That's
really.
Wow.
Yeah. Like if someone says like I need a vacation and everyone goes, well, have you got any money? No. Well, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we can offer a platform and be like, well, do you really need one? And if your application's good enough, like if it's your mental health or something, and not good enough, sorry, but if it's like fair enough,
Yeah, like you need this.
hopefully the government can jump on board and we can like put it together where we'll take a group of people out that really need to get back outside and do things and
Far out.
maybe save some lives.
Reconnect,
Yeah, like genuinely people can. It just takes one conversation to help someone. So
yeah, huge.
with our rates going up, I'd rather try use my platform to lower that.
Yeah.
And but also like international tours. Obviously, when the gates open, we're going to be changing our product to the international market
Yeah.
and be selling as a boutique and very authentic
Yeah.
tour.
And that's it, because your tours that you're doing here
Yeah.
with Backyard Roadies, they're not like your average overseas Thailand, Filipino tour. It's
Yeah.
not like let's go get on a massive bender. It's
Yeah.
got more meaning and spirit behind it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we try to sell these tours as a connection tour. So like,
Yeah.
being able to connect with new people, especially after this like lockdown that we've had or lockdowns where you sort of,
Yeah.
it's scary to go back out again and meet people.
Weird time to be alive, isn't it? Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, connection with the land, connection with yourself, super important. Something I always learned while traveling. Coming out of your comfort zone, learning more about New Zealand, super important. And yeah, being able to connect with people without, alcohol being the main priority. I
Yeah.
think we're all losing social skills where we need to be drinking or heavily drinking to have fun. And when you put people on a table to have dinner and there's no alcohol present, what do you talk about?
Yeah.
You're not talking about drinking. You're not talking about times you're drinking. You're not doing a drinking game. You're really talking. And people can get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So if we can put them in a setting where it's wholesome, there could be half people on tour don't drink.
Yeah.
You can still drink, don't get me wrong. We're Kiwis,
Yeah.
right? But we just don't want to sell this tour as a party tour
Yeah,
because
it's
you'll
not
come
a
on the
bender.
tour and you're going to be not in the right space the next day to be actually enjoying the day activities. And
Yeah.
then it just turns into a real bad thing where, people think a tour is always a bender tour, but have you done a bender tour? No. Have you done a 19-day party tour? You've done that for a year? Yeah, you won't. It's not ideal for a business. I mean, as an employee, it was great. My liver hurt. Some great memories.
Yeah.
But
Drinking's not always the answer, and
Yeah.
that's coming from someone myself who always sort of tried to numb myself through drinking, and now I start to realize that it's not an authentic way of being.
yeah,
And I think a lot of people, especially Kiwis, do sort of like tend to struggle with being able to find that balance between this is a healthy relationship with alcohol and this is an unhealthy one.
Yeah.
So I really admire that.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good to be able to give people a tour they remember,
Yeah.
and give people a tour that they actually meet real friends on it, and that they can actually go and do real things after.
Yeah.
Like instead of just meeting someone on a party tour and the only way you bond is from partying and drinking, then what are you going to do with them after?
Exactly.
You're not going to go out for breakfast or a walk, are you?
No, 100%.
So, yeah, that's what we're going for is actually coming off these tours with connections.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so for anyone listening or watching, where can they find Backyard Roadies?
So we got a website, www.backyardroadies.com, Instagram at Backyard Roadies, Facebook at Backyard Roadies, TikTok, all
TikTok
of that.
even.
TikTok, we on. We jumping on board.
Over.
Getting that age range, yo.
Yeah.
And yeah, always available. Hit us up. Me and my team will get back to you for sure. And yeah, jump on a roadie. You know, a lot of festivals are getting cancelled, so come have a wholesome experience. Come meet some real people. Come get outdoors. Come try some new stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And any famous last words that you want to share with our listeners and viewers to wrap up?
I think there's
your journey, I guess.
I think with journeys and especially with business as well, like taking that leap of faith, I think the biggest thing is to believe in yourself, find your niche, and make sure, you know, it depends. You can do a product if you want that you think will work and make money. You might not love it, but it'll work. Or you find something you love and you make it work.
Yeah.
So I think and then once you get down that path, you know, you get to wake up every day and you're working towards your dream, your vision, and you're able to grow every day. And it could be a slow growth, but at the end of the day, you're still working towards something. You know, it's like slowly building something.
Yeah.
Now I get to snowboard all winter and surf in summer and get to meet some awesome people, and life isn't that bad, but it has been, don't get me wrong. And I worked through it and stayed resilient, and I got help. I got mental health help, I got therapy, and it made me realize what potential I had. So
well done. Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone tuning in, listening and watching. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your yarns. It's been great. There's a lot of moments in your story where I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah,
like
today.
Like a mother, I'm just like, oh my god.
What?
Why didn't you call me?
No one told me you'd do this. Again, I was shy. I didn't want to tell anyone.
Yeah, of course. Totally understand that. But I think there's so many things that you've had to learn through your journey and experiences, which I think, you know, make you who you are today. And you should be very, very proud.
Oh, thank you.
And I think we can definitely expect big things to come from you going forward and the company. So all the best. And thanks for tuning in.
Ka kite.
See ya.